Hey, good morning. It's Lupe, Classic Hits, 92.7, 95.3. Joining us in the Street Beat studio, mentor, author, speaker, Lanette Pottle of Robbinston, and Communications Development Director, Chris Hill. Nice. And we're talking about the Eastern Area Agency on Aging and the many programs and supports they offer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Lupe. Good to see you.
Nice to see you guys here. So go ahead and tell us, what is Eastern Area Agency on Aging?
Yeah, so Eastern Area Agency on Aging is a nonprofit serving Penobscot, Piscataquis, Washington, and Hancock counties. We're one of 5 agencies on aging in the state of Maine. We all kind of split up various territories in the state, and it's sometimes difficult to drill down on all the different things that we do, because sometimes we have a lot of different services that don't always necessarily, at least optically, connect. But at the end of the day, we are an agency that is committed to helping our older community members, older adults, those over 60 or otherwise, age in place in their communities and live happy, healthy, engaged lives. So we have programs that serve things like nutrition services, like Meals on Wheels, supplemental food programs, congregate dining, things like that. We have Medicare Counseling and Support. We have caregiver services for those facing long-term health challenges or taking care of those with long-term health challenges. We have wellness and enrichment programs. So as you can see, there's a lot of different arms. And really, I think at the end of the day, it's because aging looks different for everybody. So we try to have a menu that supports that individualistic nature of aging. So really, at the end of the day, we're a nonprofit to help older community members live happy, healthy, engaged lives.
And how did you guys get involved? How did you get involved, Lanette?
Well, it's interesting with the agency. I first was involved as a consumer and helping family members, but 6 months ago, I joined the agency in a resource specialist role here in Washington County. The agency has been around since the 70s, but over the last year, probably and a half, to make this investment in Washington County, that we have a physical space, we have a full team here in Washington County.
So this is fairly new.
Yeah. So I'm really proud and excited to be part of supporting people in Washington County in this way.
Yeah, the exciting thing is, the agency, we're brewer based at our headquarters, so to speak, is brewer based, but we've always we've had distribution sites for some of our food programs or congregate dining sites, but we have rarely, if ever, have had like boots on the ground, brick and mortar help in our communities. So now here in Calais, we have resource specialists like Lanette, your neighbors, your family members, your friends who might know Lanette or might know your neighbors can walk into the United Methodist Church and talk face to face with someone they may know about resources and really get connected one-on-one. Prior to, they would have to call into our brewer number. And you would get connected with someone you know, but now there's ability to do it face-to-face in your community. So that's the exciting part.
And what's the eligibility criteria to participate in these programs?
Well, every program's a little bit different, but like Chris mentioned, adults that are over 60 primarily, and those that are dealing with disabilities. That's the community that we do serve.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are there any fees or costs associated with specific services?
Some programs, yes. So that is some of them are funded federally or state. We have private donors. So some are no cost. There's a relative cost to it. Pretty low cost.
Are there
generally.
financial aid options available?
So really, most of our programs are low cost or no cost. So like for instance, we have a supplemental food program for pets. There's a suggested donation of $1 or $2, but we really strive. We're dealing with lower income older adults. So we want, we're not, as a nonprofit, we're not here to make money. We want to make those offerings available. So for like dining, for instance, there may be there's financial eligibility requirements to qualify, but otherwise there's suggested donations. Oftentimes, there's like our wellness classes sometimes it varies, but sometimes there might be a fee associated with the cost of the supplies that you might need for those activities. But very, very often it's low cost or no cost.
And what about caregivers? Can they get involved without that individual being that we're with them?
Yes.
Okay.
The caregiver program is such a valuable program because there's a special set of needs that come when you're caring for someone. And so Marina here locally helps folks. She does one-on-one consultation. There's walk-in hours on Tuesdays from 9 to 3 at the center, but also she does workshops and classes. There are support groups respite programs. So there's a whole suite of programs that serve caregivers.
So talk a little bit about the schedule and locations of some of your programs.
Well, that's a great. So Lanette could probably speak to some of the more specific, but we do on our website. There's a calendar that we put out every month that people can view. I don't. Lanette, help me out as far as like when the cafes and stuff are.
Yeah. So the cafe is right at the Methodist Church. So it's 849 Main Street here in Calais. And that's on Tuesdays at noontime. And we just ask, there's a one time you register, there's just a questionnaire that you go through, and then you RSVP from there, just so we can prepare to make sure we have enough meals for folks. But that's on Tuesdays. And then we have a variety of walk-in hours. So as I mentioned, Tuesdays is Caregiver Support. Wednesdays, I'm there at the center for general resource help, helping to connect consumers with whether it's one of our internal programs or something that exists in the wider community, maybe a particular need that we don't serve directly, but we're really well connected with the agencies here in the county.
Can you talk a little bit about Meals on Wheels and also the community cafes that are available, when they're available, and if they're available everywhere?
Yeah, Meals on Wheels is probably one of those things that we're most known for. But Meals on Wheels is something that we that's out of the center, and there's a qualification process to go through that. So again, it's generally someone that's over 60 and homebound. Those are the two big requirements that we're looking for. But someone can call in or walk in, and we can do a pre-screening for them and get them signed up for the program. But it's so good because it's prepared meals. They're nutritionally balanced. We can do special dietary needs. So if someone needs low sodium or they have a diabetic diet, we can tailor that to their needs. So it's the food aspect, and also for a lot of people, it's a social aspect of the person that's delivering. We have 22 volunteers here in Washington County, which is amazing. And it is that social interaction of knowing that someone's coming to your house once a week with that delivery. So
Now,
it's really good.
What kind of timeline do you need if you want somebody to deliver food? Or
Well, there is a process that we go through. So it can vary depending on what the need is at the particular time. But the best course of action is to either come in or call, and we can go through that screening process with folks.
Okay. So tell us about the Medicare Counseling, Fraud Education, and Savings Program Support.
Yeah, so our Medicare program, I love it because, first of all, I think everyone out there knows how complicated Medicare can be. And what we find in our field is it's oftentimes predatory. So there are folks out there that like sell insurance plans that don't always have the best interest of our consumers in mind. And the beauty of our program is we have volunteers that are trained through federal programs that go through Medicare training so that they can provide the best support possible. And at the end of the day, our hope is that a consumer comes in and they have all of the facts laid out in front of them. So they know all of their options. They holistically take a look at the consumer and their needs and all of the medications they have or whatever their goals are. And our role, and Lanette can correct me if I'm wrong, our goal isn't necessarily to tell you this is what you should do. It's to say, here are your options. You're in the driver's seat. What do you want to do? And oftentimes that's not the case with people. They sometimes kind of get buffaloed into doing something that maybe isn't in their best interest. So we want to be that resource for people that if they don't know what they should do, or they just want to have their Medicare plans reviewed to see if they're on the best plan, they can come to us and we'll go, here are the facts. How do you want to approach this? Do you want more money in your pocket with this coverage, or do you want more coverage? You tell us what you need and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, the unbiased information. I think that's the big piece about that. And Bob here in our community, so he's here in Washington County, and he does appointments. He doesn't have walk-in hours because Medicare is pretty detailed, but we can set up appointments, and he does appointments Mondays and Thursdays in Calais. He's actually branched out a little bit, and once a month he's over in Machias. So it's really valuable. And you mentioned about the savings program, Medicare savings program. A lot of people don't know about that. And Bob is so great at working with people to find out, are you financially eligible? And it can save people a ton of money on their premiums and their drug costs. So really valuable program.
Now, is there any priorities given to individuals with certain medical or financial needs for the programs? Like the commodity supplemental food program or money binders?
There is financial eligibility requirements for those things because we're, again, our funding sources. So there's some requirements, but all of those things we can screen right over the phone. You don't have to come in person. We can do that application, and it's fairly straightforward and simple.
All right.
And the beautiful thing about, folks like Lanette and our ADRCs are when someone calls in, oftentimes there's a need, like we need nutrition assistance or we need like legal services or things like that. But what our ADRCs strive to do is kind of provide wraparound services. So ask questions that provide a whole picture, because you may not know of a program that, would benefit you. You may not even know that you needed that help or may not have thought about it in the moment. So our ADRCs are really there to kind of get that whole view, so they can supply you with the information like, hey, have you thought about doing this, or have you thought about doing that? And it's not just about necessarily helping internally. I know Lanette talked about hooking people up with external resources as well, but really taking a whole view of the person that's calling in.
Good. How does the Legal Services for Maine Elders program assist with specific legal concerns such as estate planning or elder abuse?
So we work with Legal Services for Maine Elders. They're actually a group that doesn't necessarily internally affiliated with us, but they're people that we often refer there. They obviously are well trained in a lot of the different aspects that people would call in about. So they have an office right in our location in Brewer, and they're one of our best known partners. So as far as the specifics of how they deal with that would be probably a question better for them. But they are a trusted partner of ours, and as I said, they are specifically trained to deal with all range of needs that those older community members might have when they call in.
All right. So where's the best place to get all the information we need for everything we talked about today?
There's a few different places. So I think our the best place is our website, and that's EAAA. That's E with 3 A's.org. I try to say EAAA because Eastern Area Agency on Aging is a mouthful.
I actually was going to intro it like that, but I wasn't sure if that was
okay. It's widely acceptable. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. So we have our website, E with 3 A's.org. You can follow us on Facebook, and they'll get connected directly with a human being. You can give us a call. We have a number 207-941-2865, and that's how you would get connected with a resource specialist outside of the walk-in hours. So website numbers, we have our Callis calendar on our website, so you can navigate to, I believe it's under events.
Yep.
So you can check out what's going on here in Callis with that events calendar that will be published at the end of every month for the following month. But yeah, those are some great ways to get in touch.
How are things going so far in Washington County?
It's good. I mean, there's a learning curve. I will say I grew up here. I've lived here most of my life and thought I was pretty well connected, but it's been really eye-opening and also really satisfying to be able to help community members in this way. Again, it's a give back for me, having relied on the agency for support with family members. So it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, I think the thing that we struggle with is sometimes it's difficult to ask for help. And so I think the goal of the Callis Access Center and all of our access centers is to have people embedded in our community that people can trust. Like you might know Lanette, you might know Kim Stanley, you might know some of the resource like Marina, and that might make it easier for you to come to. I'm not originally from Maine, but I've lived here long enough to know that we are a proud people, and sometimes it's tough to ask for help. I don't know anyone that hasn't asked for help in their life at some point. So we want to normalize the fact that we're here to help, and making it neighbors and friends and family that are here to help, I think makes it easier for folks. So that's really what we strive to do.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to add? Anything you want to add?
No, just really encourage people to come and visit us. We are at the lower level. So when you drive into the church driveway, you see the big cross, you'll go to that lower level door just off to the side. And we would love to see you 9 to 3. Again, I'm there on Wednesdays, Marina for Caregivers on Tuesdays. Just drop by, say hello. We're going to be adding some classes and looking for feedback from the community about things that you would like to see. So that's a great way for us to get your input as well.
What's your next class coming up? Can you think of that?
Well, we do weekly classes for exercise, arthritis exercise.
Here locally?
We do. It's by Zoom. Lori and Brewer is doing them live there, but we have it by Zoom, and people can do that at the center, or they can do it at home if they choose. But the cool thing is you can try a class for free and see if you like it, and then go from there. All we ask is, with most of these, like the classes and the dining, 48 hours notice, just to help us prepare to make sure it's a great experience for you.
All right. Lanette Pottle and Chris Hill, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lupe.
And this is Lupe. You're listening to Classic Hits, 92.7, 95.3. Thanks for listening.